What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing really well. In this video, we're going to be talking about essentially Ron English bringing his serial killers range into the VEVE marketplace. But before we do this, if you enjoyed this video, then please consider dropping a like and subscribing if you're new around here. And just to let you know, we're also going to be talking about my feelings behind why I believe this connects to the Comic-Con event that's going to be happening in July, and how I believe having higher serial numbers for this particular artist, for Ron English, is going to have a pretty significant role when onboarding new members. But we'll be touching upon that a little bit later on in the video. Now, if you haven't seen, David Yu released an Instagram post basically from Ron English talking about him bringing serial killers into the VEVE marketplace. Now, he also, in the comment section of the video, spoke about this potentially being released on the 10th, which will be this Thursday, so it'll be a drop day, so it also synergizes and makes sense. Now, if you don't know what they are, they're essentially like these little sort of mini figures, these mini figure sets, very quirky style. They have that sort of Ron English pop culture take on cereal boxes, I believe. Now, this is the cereal boxes. Now, we don't actually get a lot of this cereal in the UK, so I'm not too familiar with a lot of the different brands and a lot of different icons, but I do know Fruit Loops, I do know Lucky Charms, and obviously I know Tony the Tiger as well. So, and I have seen this, I believe he's Captain Crunch, but you can see these are pretty quirky. I think they're going to be. I think they're going to be really popular. They're going to hold a pretty unique place in the VEVE marketplace. They're very new in terms of their style. I don't think we've seen anything really like this. I think we've seen a similar style of launch in the sense of Kripkins and the Total Minted. I think we're going to follow a similar pattern to that. But in terms of an artist releasing sort of their unique style, sort of collectibles into this marketplace, I don't think we've really seen anything this sort of unique. I think it's pretty cool. I believe we're going to see higher mint numbers with this, to sort of cater for leaving inventory in the marketplace for the Comic-Con event, and obviously for the new onboarding users into this space. Now, I do think this will have a lower price point, so everyone can get involved with this, because you have to remember, not every launch can be premium. You know, I do believe when we look at the CoverGirls and Batman series, you know, £90 for a digital collectible is fairly expensive for a lot of people, you know. So having these sort of lower ticket, where I believe it will be sort of $9.99, $14.99, $19.99, they're going to have sort of higher minted, so the value in these, I believe, will be in the lower serial numbers. But the point behind it is that everyone's going to be able to get involved with this. There's going to be no resistance. Everyone can go on to collect this, and I think it'll be a really cool set to get involved with. Now, I'm going to talk about why I believe there is connections here between sort of Ron English, pop culture as a whole, so his sort of stance within pop culture, and why I believe that they're going to leave inventory or mint high amounts of this, so there's inventory available for an new onboarding effect at the Comic-Con event. But let's touch upon this article and their sort of how they reference him, you know, in this particular sort of street art and pop culture world. Now, we can see they call him in this article the godfather of street art. Pretty interesting to think about when that's a pretty significant stance. So he obviously has a big name in this space. Irreverently mashes up pop culture in a new show. And when we come down here, we can see it looks like he made it in this particular article. He did a different reference to, I believe this is Batman and Robin. Pretty quirky. I mean, it's super creative. But my point behind it is that his particular name in pop culture is very, very well known. And when we consider the fact that the people at this event are going to have a pretty heavy association in the pop culture world, they're going to know who Ron English is. So I'm going to just sort of break down my theories about why I believe this launch is happening now and why we're going to see high serial numbers. And to do this, we need to understand, obviously, that in the pop culture world, which is going to just represent here Pop C, or PC, sorry, you know, they're going to have different levels of association with different artists. You know, different artists are going to hold different significant weight in this particular culture, in this particular industry of collectors. Now, when we think about the reference point to Comic-Con, you know, you need to understand that Comic-Con is essentially the largest pop culture event in the world, okay? Anybody who is a serious fan of pop culture art will know who Ron English is because they're at this event. Okay, most people that go to this event know and have a very solid and rounded understanding of who these artists are and what they produce and the different pieces they produce. Now, when we think about the barrier to entry into VEVE, or essentially the exposure of who's actually involved with VEVE, we have to understand that having key artists inside of VEVE before going into an event like this will reduce the resistance for them to want to get involved in the application and get involved with NFTs. Now, when we think about Ron English, you know, we need to understand that obviously he has a pretty significant stance inside of pop culture as a whole. So obviously has connective elements inside of pop culture. So these people from Comic-Con are going to know about him. So when people see, or when VEVE make these huge announcements and people decide to download the application, they're going to see that Ron English is on VEVE. Okay, so that's what the V represents. Okay, and then they're going to see obviously the serial killers launch inside of VEVE. They're going to see that there's going to be high inventory. So there's going to be inventory available for these new users. Okay, which I'll represent with IV. And it's going to allow that new onboarding effect for people to get involved from the Comic-Con event. They're going to get involved with VEVE. And then from there, they're going to obviously get involved with the serial killers because they like Ron English. Now, this is just my theory behind it. This is theoretical, but it does make a lot of sense. You have to understand the kind of exposure this event's going to have. And if you haven't seen my videos touching upon Comic-Con and essentially its stance within pop culture and why it's so significant for VEVE, I did a breakdown on both the Omi burn effect and the actual event itself. Now, this is why I believe we're going to be seeing something like this. You know, we have to remember that VEVE is such a new marketplace. So any way that we can reduce the barriers to entry for users to get involved with VEVE is just going to be beneficial long term. Okay, and seeing your favorite artist involved with VEVE in terms of this pop culture world is going to reduce that barrier to entry because you're going to want to collect them. If you already have the physical collectible, you're going to want to get involved with essentially the digital collectible as well. And that's all going to come from the way that VEVE sort of translate their vision and sort of translate their ideas and sort of present their company. But the point behind it is having key artists like this and having inventory available is going to have benefits to when we have this new onboarding effect. Now, the last thing I want to touch upon as well is that he has released NFTs before. If you haven't seen, I did do a Ron English breakdown in terms of the rabbit that he's bringing into this sort of low mint, 100 mint collectible. So I did do a breakdown of this and I touched upon this in that video. Now, 2 of the different cereal boxes you can actually see he's created and released as digital collectibles previously. One was Fruit Loop and the other one was the sort of Fat Tony. Now, you can see, if you look at the price points that these went for, you know, there were nearly 1,200 entries, only 50 minted, but each one of these went for $1,000 a piece. So you got to understand his stance within pop culture. People will pay money for this particular artist simply because they enjoy him. And this all ties back to my points I was making inside of here, having inventory available, having that lower price point so that people can get involved very easily, get their first digital collectible, throw it into the AR, have a look at it, enjoy it, do everything that we're already doing now and enjoying. You know, get them hooked onto VEVE. It's going to do nothing but positive things for the community and for the application. So the other one I just wanted to show you here as well is the Fruit Loop. I really like these, you know, they're very quirky. Like I say, super creative. And they had a similar style. It's a little bit more in demand. 1,300 entries, 50 available, but the same price point. So you think he did $50,000 for each one of these, $100,000 collectively off 100 different NFTs. Very interesting to think about when we consider the type of demand that's going to be available. And obviously, VEVE being a mass market product, they're going to keep that price point low. They're going to have a higher inventory available, so more people can get involved with the VEVE marketplace. So if you've enjoyed this video, then please consider dropping a like, subscribing if you're new around here. I'm really excited about this. I think it caters to many different aspects of VEVE's vision. I think we're just seeing further validation. They're going to continue to scale this vision out. They're going to bring key people into this market so that we can bring on new users into this space. Now, like I say, thanks for watching. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, everybody.